Report, and I'm now joined by another former soldier who left Israel's military now just 2 years ago. Daniel Flesch is an American citizen who joined the Israel Defense Forces, or the IDF, in 2010. He fought with them for 18 months. And Daniel, as we mentioned, you are an American. So why did you decide to go halfway around the world to join the IDF instead of, say, joining the U.S. military?
It's a very good question. I grew up with an idea of service in my mind in my last year in college. I developed a strong connection with Israel. I visited Israel, and I learned about my family's survival through the Holocaust. And as Jews have been persecuted throughout the world, I wanted to make sure that there's a homeland for Jews to go to. Just in the last 2 weeks, I believe 1,000 Jews have left France, and I want to make sure that they have a homeland they can go to, and I want to defend and protect the Jewish state in Israel.
What's your take on what's happening there right now?
It's tragic. It's very, very sad. Israelis and Israel want to have peace. They want to be able to live side by side with Palestinians. But in the meantime, they will do everything they can, everything they will, to defend themselves and to protect themselves. And lone soldiers like myself, who go over to fight in the IDF, we're there again to defend everyone inside Israel. Druze, Muslims, Christians, Jews, everyone.
You talked about this urge to serve and your maybe connection and sort of a kindred spirit with the Israelis because of your Jewish heritage. When you got there, was it what you expected in terms of fighting with the Israeli army?
Well, certainly no one can know what to expect when you join the military, but it was absolutely similar to what I had hoped for. There's certainly a brotherhood or kindred spirits within Israel. It's a special place, and I felt a lot of the other, not only lone soldiers who come from all across the world, but certainly the Israeli soldiers were very appreciative that we were there.
When you hear that there were 2 IDF soldiers who were U.S. citizens killed in the fighting in just the past week or so, what's your reaction to that?
Max Steinberg and Sean Carmelli from Los Angeles and Texas, they're doing what they went there to do. They went there to defend the Jewish people, defend Israel, and they answered the call of duty. And so from sitting here back in the United States with my other lone soldiers, we talk a lot, and we really sympathize with them and their families. They're our brothers, but we understand why they went to fight, and we know that they would rather be nowhere else than inside Gaza protecting the Jewish people.
I want to get a better sense of what it's actually like there on the ground. We've heard a lot about the rockets flying overhead, the supplies and people moving through tunnels. Can you describe the scene or set the scene for me in terms of those who are on the ground actually fighting what they're dealing with?
Sure. So it's a very scary situation. Just a couple of days ago, some Hamas militants or terrorists were caught on the Israeli side of the border through a tunnel with needles and essentially different equipment to try to kidnap soldiers and civilians. As an Israeli soldier, you know the inherent dangers in combats and conflicts, but you also have to always be vigilant, even when you're on base or whenever you're in Israel. But again, thank God to Iron Dome and other defensive measures that Israel does, that many Israelis, both civilians and soldiers, feel much safer.
We don't have a lot of time, but do you feel like your service was worth it, especially given that the situation seems to be getting out of control there right now?
100%. Absolutely. I felt that it's just something I had to do as a Jew and someone, and an American also, who really grew up learning about and loving freedom and democracy. And I felt it was incumbent upon me to do something to serve for other people.
And I know we were just talking during the break, you plan to perhaps even serve for the U.S. government someday as you're working on your graduate work there in D.C. So thank you, Daniel Flesch, for your service. Thank you for your time today. We appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
Back to our other big story.